Tonight, we leave the modern world behind for the quiet of the Middle Ages. Close your eyes and listen. You are back in time, safe and warm. Let the story begin. You find yourself seated upon a low, three-legged stool of sturdy, unpolished oak, positioned in the very center of the monastery's inner courtyard. The stone beneath your feet is ancient, composed of heavy flags of gray siltstone that have been worn smooth by centuries of quiet footsteps. And now, in the height of the afternoon, they radiate a gentle, stored heat that seeps through the thick soles of your leather turnshoes. The sun is a heavy, golden weight upon your shoulders, warm and constant, casting long, unmoving shadows from the surrounding cloister arches. There is no haste here. The world is quiet, and time seems to have slowed until it is as thick and golden as the honey in the Abbey's hives. Before you stands the hearse, a large, rectangular wooden frame made of seasoned ash, and stretched across it is a single, vast sheet of pale vellum. It is a calf skin, prepared with care, and now it waits for your attention. You reach out a hand, feeling the surface. It is cool and slightly textured, like the petal of a dried lily, held in place by dozens of small, rounded pebbles called pippins, which are wrapped into the edges of the skin and tied firmly to the frame with lengths of hempen cord. You pick up the wooden key, a simple tool with a notched end, and move to the first peg on the upper right side of the frame. The movement is slow, deliberate, and carries no urgency. You fit the key to the peg and give it a fractional turn, perhaps no more than a hair's breadth. You hear the wood groan, a low, melodic creak that speaks of tension and strength. The hempen cord tightens, the fibers rubbing against one another with a faint, dry rasp that lingers in the still air. You move to the next peg, and then the next, repeating this small, rhythmic motion. The sound of the tightening frame is the only thing that fills the courtyard, a series of slow, rhythmic wooden heartbeats. As the skin stretches, it becomes as taut as the head of a drum. You tap the center of the vellum with your fingertips, and it rewards you with a deep, resonant thrum that vibrates through the air and settles in your chest. The air is filled with the scent of sun-warmed stone, the faint, clean smell of dried lime, and the sweet, herbal drift of rosemary and lavender from the small garden beds near the well. Safe and warm, you reach for your lunellum. This is a crescent-shaped knife, its blade a shimmering arc of polished steel, fitted with a central wooden handle that fits perfectly into the palm of your hand. The metal is cool against your skin, a sharp contrast to the warmth of the sun. You place the blade against the top of the vellum. You are not cutting. You are merely scraping, removing the tiniest imperfections to make the surface as smooth as a cloud. You begin the first stroke, moving the blade downward with a steady, unwavering pressure. The sound is a soft, rhythmic shhhhk, a long, drawn-out whisper that seems to pull the silence of the courtyard closer around you. A tiny, translucent curl of parchment rises from the blade, as thin as a moth's wing, and drifts slowly toward the ground. It falls through a shaft of light, tumbling with an agonizingly slow grace before it settles on the gray stone. You watch it for a moment, observing how the light catches its edges before you begin the next stroke. The world is quiet, and your work is the only thing that exists. You move the vellum again, a few inches to the left of the first mark. S-H-H-H-H-K. The sound is identical to the first, a grounding, repetitive pulse that lulls the mind into a state of deep, unwavering calm. You feel the vibration of the steel against the tension of the calfskin, a subtle tremor that travels up your arm and into your shoulder. It is a satisfying sensation, the feeling of resistance giving way to smoothness. You are in no rush to finish. The afternoon is vast and empty, and the vellum is large. You focus on a single square inch of the surface, noting the way the natural grain of the skin creates a map of tiny, microscopic valleys and ridges. With each pass of the blade, these ridges are leveled, leaving behind a surface that is white and pure. The scent of the vellum is mild, a hint of old earth and clean water mingling with the distant, heavy aroma of the monastery's kitchen, where bread is rising in the heat of the ovens. High above, in the square of blue sky framed by the courtyard walls, a single hawk circles. It does not flap its wings. It simply hangs there, suspended on a warm updraft as still as a painting. You hear the distant, muffled tolling of a bell from a village far across the valley. The sound is softened by the distance, a low, bronze hum that vibrates through the air, and then fades into the rustle of the leaves in the great oak that stands just outside the cloister walls. The wind moves through the oak's branches with a sound like the distant sea, a constant, shushing murmur that never quite disappears. You pause your scraping to breathe in the air, which is heavy with the smell of drying grass and the faint, metallic tang of the well water. You are safe, you are still, and the task before you is infinite and peaceful. You return to the scraping, your hand moving in a slow, hypnotic arc. S-H-H-H-H-K. Another sliver of white falls away. You notice a small patch of pumice stone sitting on the bench beside you. You set down the vellum and pick up the pumice. It is gray and porous, feeling light and abrasive against your fingertips. You begin to rub the stone in small, circular motions against a section of the vellum you have already scraped. The sound changes from a sharp whisper to a low, grainy hushing, like sand sliding down a dune. This process is even slower than the first. You watch the way the white dust from the pumice settles into the pores of the skin, filling them and creating a surface that is as soft to the touch as fine silk. You rub the stone in circles left to right, then right to left over and over, until the texture of the vellum is indistinguishable from the air itself. The sun has moved slightly, the shadows of the arches lengthening by a few inches across the flags. A small sparrow lands on the edge of the hearse, its tiny weight causing the frame to creak almost imperceptibly. It stays there for a long time, its head tilting as it watches you work, its feathers ruffled by a stray, cooling breeze. You do not move to shoo it away. There is room for everything in this quiet hour. You feel the weight of your own limbs, heavy and relaxed, as the repetitive nature of the work anchors you to the present moment. Your breathing has synchronized with the movement of your hand-in as the pumice moves up, out as it moves down. The world is quiet. The monastery is a fortress of silence, and within its walls, you are cocooned in the simple, honest labor of the hand. You pick up the lunellum once more to address a different corner of the frame. You check the tension of the pippins, feeling the rough hemp under your thumbs. Each knot is secure. Each cord is tight. You begin to scrape again, the blade moving with the same glacial pace as before. S-H-H-H-H-K. The sound is a lullaby, a steady, unchanging note in the symphony of the afternoon. You see the light reflecting off the steel, a bright, silver flash that dances across the white expanse of the skin. You are not thinking of the words that will eventually be written upon this surface, nor the gold leaf that will decorate its margins. You are thinking only of the scrape, the dust, and the warmth of the sun on your neck. Everything is as it should be. The vellum is stretching, the sun is shining, and the world is quiet. You take a deep, slow breath, tasting the lavender and the dust, and you begin the next stroke, moving the blade down slowly, very slowly, through the golden light. You stand in the eastern corner of the monastery courtyard, where the morning sun has already warmed the ancient flagstones beneath your feet. The light spreads across the pale limestone like honey poured from a jug, slow and golden, and perfectly even. You can feel the warmth rising through the worn leather of your shoes, through the wool of your stockings, into the soles of your feet where you stand, patient and still. The world is quiet here. The world is safe and warm. Before you rests the wooden stretching frame, its corners joined with careful pegs that Brother Thomas carved last winter when the snow lay thick against the workshop door. The wood is smooth ash, pale as cream, and when you rest your palm against the upper beam, you can feel where countless hands have touched this same spot, year after year, wearing the grain into silk beneath your fingertips. The frame leans against the courtyard wall at just the right angle, catching the sun, but sheltered from any wind that might disturb your work. You breathe in slowly. The air smells of sun-warmed stone and the faint green scent of the herb garden beyond the cloister wall. The vellum lies before you on the broad wooden table, still damp from yesterday's soaking in the lime bath. It is the color of cream, of morning clouds, of milk poured into a wooden bowl. You lift one edge carefully between your thumb and forefinger, feeling the cool dampness there, the slight weight of water still held within the skin. The vellum is calfskin, prepared by Brother Martin in the tannery shed, where the lime pools sit in their stone troughs, patient and alkaline and still. You have watched him work there many times, stirring the skins with his long wooden pole, lifting them to check their progress, lowering them again into the white liquid that loosens hair and flesh from hide. You carry the vellum to the frame with both hands, moving slowly across the sun-warmed courtyard. Your footsteps make no sound. A bee drifts past your shoulder, heavy with pollen, heading toward the lavender that grows in neat rows near the chapter house. You can hear it humming, that low and drowsy sound that speaks of summer afternoons and work done slowly, carefully, without haste. The world is quiet. The world is safe and warm. At the frame, you begin the ancient process of attachment. The first cord passes through the small hole you punched yesterday along the vellum's edge, and you tie it to the wooden peg with fingers that know this knot by heart. Over, under, through, and pull. Not too tight. Never too tight at first. The damp vellum must stretch gradually, evenly, like dough rising in the bakehouse or wool being carded in long, patient strokes. You move to the next hole, thread the next cord, tie the next knot. Your breathing falls into rhythm with your hands. In and out. Over and under. Through and pull. The sun climbs higher as you work your way around the frame's perimeter. You can feel its warmth on the back of your neck, on your shoulders, through the rough weave of your work tunic. The fabric smells of lye soap and wood smoke, the same smell that fills the dormitory at night when you lie in your narrow bed and listen to the brothers breathing in their sleep. 24 holes around the vellum's edge. 24 cords to thread and tie. Your fingers move with the certainty of ritual, of tasks performed 100 times, 1,000 times, until they become like prayer. When the vellum hangs secure in its frame, you fetch the lunellum from the tool chest. The curved blade catches the sunlight, its edge honed sharp on the whetstone that sits beside the well. The wooden handle fits your palm perfectly, worn smooth by generations of scribes who stood where you stand now, scraping vellum in the patient sunlight. You position yourself before the frame and raise the blade to the surface of the skin. The first scrape is barely a whisper. The blade moves across the vellum with a sound like wind through dry grass, like sand sliding down a dune, like the softest possible sigh. You can feel the resistance under your hand, the way the blade catches and releases, lifting away the smallest particles of remaining flesh and membrane. The motion is long and even. You draw the blade toward you in one smooth pull, then lift it, return to the top, and pull again. The world is quiet here. The world is safe and warm. Fine dust begins to gather beneath the frame, pale as flour, soft as talc. It drifts down in the still air, catching the sunlight, turning briefly golden before it settles on the flagstones. You scrape and scrape, working in long vertical strokes that cover the same ground again and again. The vellum grows smoother under your blade. You can see it changing, see the surface becoming more refined, more perfect, ready to receive the ink that Brother Augustine will prepare tomorrow with his lamp black and oak gall and patient grinding. The bells ring for sext in the tower above. Their sound rolls across the courtyard like slow water, like honey, like time made audible. You do not stop your work. The blade continues its patient journey, scraping, smoothing, perfecting. Your shadow has shortened on the stones. The sun stands nearly overhead. The vellum grows whiter, smoother, more beautiful with each long, quiet stroke. You scrape, and the world is still. You scrape, and nothing else matters. You scrape, and the afternoon stretches before you like the vellum itself, patient and calm and endlessly, perfectly slow. As you scrape, the faint scent of chamomile and lavender wafts through the open window, carried by a gentle breeze that stirs the parchment ever so slightly. The bees hum softly in the garden below, their industrious buzz a soothing counterpoint to the rhythmic motion of your knife. The last remnants of the morning's rain glisten on the leaves of the apple tree outside, tiny diamonds that catch and refract the sunlight, casting dancing patterns on the stone floor. The quill you prepared earlier lies neatly on the desk, its shaft straight and smooth, the feathers trimmed with care. A small crystal vial of ink sits beside it, its deep blue contents promising the colors of twilight. You smile to yourself, content in the knowledge that when you are ready, the quill will be there, eager to bring your words to life. The church bell tolls in the distance, its mellow tones echoing through the quiet village, marking the passage of time but not hurrying it. You take a deep breath, the air sweet and cool, and return to your task, the world continuing its slow, peaceful dance around you. You sit with the frame before you in the warm hollow of the courtyard, the wood sun-bleached and smooth beneath your palms, the joints faintly sighing as if remembering many hands, and your fingers know the precise give of the splayed beams, the grain catching dust like a soft fur, the rope holes warmed by sunlight so that when you press your thumb into them they feel safe and warm. The world is quiet, and all you hear are the thin, bright clatter of the far bell, the faint rustle of plane leaves high above, and the whisper of someone else's knife a little way off, soft against white skin. The air smells of warmed wood and old glue and herbs drying on a windowsill. A low, flower-sweet thread from the bakehouse curling in and mingling with the mineral tang that clings to the courtyard stones. And as you lay the first sheet of white vellum over the frame, the surface is cool and slightly satiny under your palm, the edge feathering like fine paper against your fingertips. And you breathe slowly to meet the slow, bright light, safe and warm. The world is quiet. You begin with the cords, one slow loop then another, the rope grainy and slightly oiled from constant handling, the curl of cord around your fingers giving that slow resistance that you know by touch, the scent of the hemp rubbed thin rising to your nose like raw linen warmed by the sun, and the courtyard keeps time for you with soft, regular sounds. A bell, the scrape of a chisel on a bench, the low hum of wind through the great bower beyond the cloister, while your hands pull taut each tie in turn until the frame hums in your palms. A low, steady note you can feel through bone and tendon. And when you tighten the last loop and tuck the end away, you feel the frame settle, wood and rope warming in the sunlight and against your skin, safe and warm. The world is quiet. You dampen the vellum with the careful small motions you have made 100 slow times, dipping the sponge with ritual patience into the stone basin, the water cool and clear on your fingertips, the scent bright and faintly mineral as it meets the sun-warmed surface. And as you pass the wetness across the white expanse, the skin breathes a little, the texture changing from satiny to almost supple under the press of your palm. The sound a delicate, moist whisper as the droplets flatten and are driven along the grain by the flat of your hand. And beyond the frame, the wind moves the leaves so that a dry rustle answers your small, wet scraping, while the distant bell marks the hour in a single, rounded toll. And you rest your wrist against the wood and press and stretch in one long, economical motion, the surface yielding a fraction, then returning, taut again and ready, safe and warm. The world is quiet. You take the scraper, the crescent of iron cool where it rests in your palm, the haft warm from previous use, and you draw the blade across the vellum in patient, metered strokes, the sound a thin, steady rasp like distant rain on tile, and each pass leaves the skin subtly altered, a whisper of thinness that your fingertips can read without sight, the tiny. Powdery shavings falling dust light onto the frame, and sending up a faint must of animal and chalk that the sun takes and dries into the broader warm smell of leather and chalk and summer dust. You keep the angle the same, the motion the same, the pressure consistent, and you look at the white plane with a slow, careful eye, feeling with your fingers, smelling the warm tang of the work and hearing the bell and the wind and the other tools and the courtyard air, safe and warm. The world is quiet. You pass the pumice and rub in long, patient circles, the stone rough and whispering across the vellum, your hand moving with that soft friction that sends a dry little cloud into the sunlit air, the powder settling on your skin like the faintest ash. And when you draw your thumb along the surface afterward, you can feel the grain gather, a soft sand against skin, the smell of powdered chalk and warm hide like the inside of a quiet storeroom. And the bell repeats its slow refrain, and the scrape of the neighboring scribe continues its steady, companionable rasping. And you fold the pumice over the edge of the frame and turn the sheet and rub again, each motion the same as the last. The cadence of your work the only rhythm you need to place your breath, and to keep your back from tensing, safe and warm. The world is quiet. You leave the vellum to dry in the sun, the white sheet shining with a low inner light against the wooden bars, and you sit back and feel the courtyard on you like a slow tide. the heat settling into the muscles of your forearms where they rested a while ago. The smell of baked bread rising clearer as the afternoon leans toward evening. Warm yeast and oven stone mingling with the resinous note of old cords and the green sweetness of crushed thyme carried on the wind. While the bell counts the slow minutes and the trees whisper, and the soft ticking of a spindle somewhere in a shadowed nook adds another low, familiar sound. And you watch the vellum breathe itself flatter and paler in the bright light, your fingers resting once more on the frame as if to remember the exact place they occupied, safe and warm. The world is quiet. You gather the finished sheets, each one slightly different, but all of them pale and even and cool to the touch, the stack growing with a weight you can feel in the palm, and that gives off the dry, faint smell of chalk and warm skin as you lift and turn them. The sound a soft rustle like pages in a closed book, and you align them with the slow patience that has no hurry in it, each adjustment made by the sense of the eye and the pressure of a gentle thumb. The courtyard around you full of soft, insistent noises. The bell. The wind, the scrape blending into a single even hum that steadies the pulse. And you set the stack in shade so that it will cool evenly, and you wash your hands in the basin. The water sliding off fingers that feel slightly powdery. The scent of soap and lime, a clean, bright line against the lingering smell of the day's work. And you stand a moment with your palms warmed by the sun-warmed wood and your breath slow and regular, and the whole world untroubled, safe and warm. The world is quiet. You lift the pumice stone from the shallow bowl of clear water, its porous gray surface darkening as it drinks, and you feel the cool weight of it in your palm, a smooth, waterlogged pebble from some distant, silent volcano. You place the soaked, stretched vellum on the slanted wooden board before you, its surface taut and milky white under the high afternoon sun. The courtyard around you is a basin of warmth and light, the flagstones radiating a gentle, stored heat that rises through the soles of your soft leather shoes. You can smell the damp earth from the recently watered herb garden, a scent of mint and damp soil. And you can hear the far-off, lazy ringing of a single bell from the chapel, a bronze note that hangs in the air and slowly dissolves into the rustle of beech leaves in the wind. Your fingers find the upper left corner of the skin, and you begin, the damp pumice meeting the surface with a faint, dry whisper, a sound like the lightest breath on coarse paper. You move the stone in small, deliberate circles, your wrist pivoting with a slow, metronomic rhythm. The pumice kisses the vellum over and over, its gentle abrasion lifting the finest, almost invisible hairs from the flesh side. You feel the texture changing under your touch, the slight resistance giving way to a smoother plane, a gradual softening that is more felt than seen. The world is quiet, save for that soft, rhythmic scraping, a sound that begins to feel like the pulse of the afternoon itself. You hear a bee drone past, a low hum that fades into the murmur of the trees, and you feel the sun on the back of your neck, a steady, comforting pressure. You dip the stone again, the water in the bowl making a soft blink, and the cool droplets run down your wrist, a brief, clarifying chill before the sun dries them. You continue your work, moving from the corner down along the edge, a patient, horizontal progression. The task, is the whole of the world. There is only the feel of the stone, the smell of the wet limestone dust that now perfumes the air with a clean, mineral scent, and the sight of the white surface slowly becoming more uniform, a blankness awaiting ink. Your breath slows to match the pace of your arm, a long, slow inhale as you pull the pumice toward you, a long, slow exhale as you push it away. The repetitive motion is a lullaby for your hands, a familiar dance of muscle and bone that requires no thought, only presence. Safe and warm in the sun, you scrape and scrape and scrape. The shadow of the cloister wall has crept an inch across the flagstones, a barely perceptible advance of coolness. You shift slightly on your stool, the wood creaking a single, soft complaint, and you feel the linen of your robe, warmed by the sun, shift against your skin. You turn the vellum slightly on its frame, adjusting the angle to better catch the light, and you see the myriad tiny imperfections, the faint topography of the skin being gently planed away. It is a landscape you are patiently erasing, a map you are turning into a calm, featureless sea. The auditory ambience layers around you. The persistent, soothing shush of your work, the distant bell again, this time 2 tones, the wind stirring the pages of a book left open on a bench somewhere, a flutter like a bird's wing. You pause to stretch your fingers, curling them inward and then extending them, feeling the pleasant stiffness of sustained, gentle work. You look at your hands, pale with limestone dust, and you smell the clean, wet scent of them. You take a deep breath, and the air carries the green smell of the clipped lawn beyond the arches, mixed with the sun-heated stone and that ever-present mineral fragrance of your task. You pick up the pumice again, its surface now slightly smoother from wear, and you resume. The action is a meditation. You do not think of the words that will someday grace the surface. You think only of the surface itself, of this moment of preparation, this quiet making of readiness. The world is quiet, and you are a part of its quietness, a slow-moving figure in a sun-drenched courtyard, performing a centuries-old ritual of smoothing. A single, downy feather from some passing bird drifts down, landing on the edge of your board, and you watch it, a tiny, perfect thing, before the same breeze that brought it lifts it away again. You follow its ascent for a moment, then your gaze returns to the white rectangle before you. You are halfway now. The left side is smooth as a river stone, the right side still faintly pebbled, a tactile frontier you will soon cross. The process is everything. The slow revelation of perfect, usable surface from a rough, organic thing is a kind of gentle magic, performed not with spells, but with water and stone and infinite patience. You can feel the slight ache of contentment in your shoulders, the good fatigue of peaceful labor. The sun continues its imperceptible arc, the light deepening to a richer gold, gilding the edges of the vellum frame. The scraping sound, is a constant, a whisper that has become the voice of the afternoon. You lose yourself in the repetition, in the feel of the pumice wearing down, grain by grain, against the skin, in the faint, chalky taste that occasionally finds its way to your lips. You are aware of your own heartbeat, slow and steady, a soft drum beneath the symphony of small, courtyard sounds. Safe and warm, you work, the motion as natural and unthinking as breathing. The shadow grows longer. The air cools by a single, gentle degree, and still you scrape. There is no hurry. There is only the soft kiss of the stone on the vellum, over and over, a promise of blankness, a prelude to silence, a perfect, uneventful point in the long, calm day. A golden mote of dust dances in a stray beam of light, drifting toward the heavy oak rafters. Beyond the arched window, the distant chime of the vesper bell hums through the valley, soft and low, calling the monks to prayer across the green hillsides where sheep graze contentedly beneath ancient oaks. The stone walls hold centuries of quietness within their cool, gray depths, absorbing every whispered breath. You find yourself in the sun-drenched courtyard of the old monastery, the warm afternoon light casting long, dancing shadows across the ancient stones. The air is filled with the soft, steady rhythm of your work, the gentle scrape of the sharpened knife against the smooth vellum, a sound as comforting as the distant bells that toll the hours. The world is quiet. The only other sounds the rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze, and the occasional murmur of your brethren as they go about their tasks. The scent of sun-warmed stone and the faint, earthy aroma of the parchment fill your nostrils, a familiar and comforting fragrance that soothes your soul. Safe and warm in the embrace of this timeless ritual, you settle deeper into the rhythm of your work, the knife gliding effortlessly across the surface of the vellum. The parchment is spread out before you on the worn wooden frame, its surface smooth and unblemished, waiting patiently for your touch. You start at the top, the blade of your knife barely grazing the surface, the scrape of the metal against the parchment, a soft whisper in the still air. You work methodically, carefully, the knife moving in slow, steady strokes, stretching the vellum just enough to smooth out any wrinkles, to prepare it for the ink that will soon bring it to life. The sun beats down on your back, warm and comforting, its rays casting a golden glow over your workspace, highlighting the delicate dance of dust motes that swirl lazily in the air. The scraping of your knife against the parchment is a soothing, hypnotic sound, the steady rhythm a gentle lullaby that carries you away from the worries of the world. You become one with the motion, your arm moving in slow, deliberate arcs, the blade of your knife gliding effortlessly over the surface of the vellum. The world is quiet. The only sounds the soft scrape of your knife, the distant tolling of the bells, and the gentle rustle of the leaves above. You work your way down the parchment, the knife never faltering, never rushing. There is no hurry in this ancient courtyard, no need for haste. The vellum is your canvas, and you are its artist, taking your time, savoring each moment, each stroke of the knife. The scent of the parchment is strong now, the faint, earthy aroma mingling with the warm, comforting smell of sun-warmed stone. The world is quiet. The only sounds the soft scrape of your knife, the distant tolling of the bells, and the gentle rustle of the leaves above. As you reach the bottom of the parchment, you pause, admiring your work. The vellum is smooth and unblemished, ready for the ink that will soon bring it to life. You lean back, stretching your arms above your head, the sun warm on your face, the breeze gentle on your skin. The world is quiet. The only sounds the distant tolling of the bells, the gentle rustle of the leaves above, and the soft, steady rhythm of your own breath. You pick up the next sheet of vellum, its surface rough and uneven, waiting for your touch. You spread it out on the frame, the parchment smooth and supple under your hands. You start at the top, the blade of your knife barely grazing the surface, the scrape of the metal against the parchment, a soft whisper in the still air. The world is quiet. The only sounds the soft scrape of your knife, the distant tolling of the bells, and the gentle rustle of the leaves above. You work your way down the parchment, the knife never faltering, never rushing. There is no hurry in this ancient courtyard, no need for haste. The vellum is your canvas, and you are its artist, taking your time, savoring each moment, each stroke of the knife. The scent of the parchment is strong now, the faint, earthy aroma mingling with the warm, comforting smell of sun-warmed stone. The world is quiet. The only sounds the soft scrape of your knife, the distant tolling of the bells, and the gentle rustle of the leaves above. As the sun begins to dip below the horizon, casting long, dramatic shadows across the courtyard, you feel a sense of contentment wash over you. The day's work is done, the vellum smooth and unblemished, ready for the ink that will soon bring it to life. You lean back, stretching your arms above your head, the sun warm on your face, the breeze gentle on your skin. The world is quiet. The only sounds the distant tolling of the bells, the gentle rustle of the leaves above, and the soft, steady rhythm of your own breath. You gather your tools, the knife and the frame, the vellum now smooth and ready. You walk back to the scriptorium, the courtyard now bathed in the soft, golden light of the setting sun. The world is quiet. The only sounds the distant tolling of the bells, the gentle rustle of the leaves above, and the soft, steady rhythm of your own breath. Safe and warm in the embrace of this timeless ritual, you prepare for the next day's work, the next day's journey into the quiet, peaceful world of the scribe. The great hearth, now banked for the night, releases one final, fragrant sigh of applewood smoke that curls lazily toward the ceiling beams. Your quill rests beside the ink pot, a faithful companion awaiting the dawn. The shadows in the corners of the hall have deepened into a velvety, absolute black, a soft void that seems to hold the very essence of rest. From the kitchens, a faint, sweet scent of cooling oat bread lingers in the still air, a promise for the morning meal. Outside, the world continues its gentle, nocturnal watch. A barn owl calls, its cry a muffled, distant question answered only by the rustle of a hedgehog in the dry leaves beneath the yew tree. The castle itself seems to settle, its ancient stones contracting slightly in the cool night, emitting faint, comforting creaks that speak of endurance and shelter. Wrapped in your cloak, you feel the gentle pressure of the straw pallet beneath you, each shift releasing a whisper of summer meadow. The last conscious thought is of the vellum page awaiting you a field of creamy white soon to be sown with careful, black script. And with that peaceful intention, you drift into a deep and